Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man who just used his last sticky note, and now he has no idea how to remind himself to buy more. Just Dale.
I just had to send a text message to me.
Will you?
Yeah.
Okay, that'll work.
I do that all the time.
Do you really?
I do.
Do you text yourself?
I do. Somebody tells me something, I'm not going to remember it, so I text it to myself so I remember.
Yeah. I get it, man.
That's all I can think of. I'm sure there's a notepad in that phone somewhere, but who knows how to work it.
Yeah, people don't write stuff down anymore like they used to.
No, and I got a little pen gimmick on this phone. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. You can write on the text message. It is cool, but it takes longer to write. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's what I do.
You don't write yourself a letter?
No.
Or-
I just text it to
Or
me.
block letters?
Ooh, speaking of.
Yeah.
Lordy.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, yeah. we might be segueing or something.
We might.
Yeah.
You Segway and don't get killed in those things.
That's it.
That two-wheeled thing, Segway.
Yeah. You got any good shout-outs, bud? Anybody want to talk about?
Yeah, we got a couple shout-outs this week. First of big announcement. Wait,
Big announcement.
Wait. Don't we got a drum roll on this gimmick? We're on Samsung.
We are on Samsung.
Hey!
Yeah.
It's only took about a year and a court order, but hell, we're on there.
Well, we had to jump through some hoops to get there.
Yeah, and I can't jump.
But anybody that has an Android phone, you can have the Samsung app on your phone, and you can listen to podcasts, watch videos. We can watch movies or whatever. But
Books, all kind of mess.
yeah, but we are listed on the Samsung podcast app.
We finally made it.
So
Whatever
I don't.
that song is.
Yeah, and I don't see anywhere on there to rate and review, but you can go on there and listen if you so desire.
Yeah, you can use your friends with Apple stuff to rate and review.
Yeah. Just go over to Apple Podcast and
Say
grab
that.
their phone and rate and review.
Yeah, even if you can say we listen on Samsung, but we rate review on Apple.
Yeah.
What the hell?
But yeah, you can go to Apple Podcast and rate and review.
Yeah, yeah, and we like those. We do a lot. Anyway, and we got a shout out to. We're gonna butcher this, I'm sure. Mary Beth Cole, or is it Mary Beth Coelle?
Yes.
It's Koelle, like in Michelle, but it's Coelle. Anyway, if it's wrong,
it's just Cole.
If it's wrong, I really apologize.
Okay.
But anyway, she sent us a message the other day. She saw some stickers down at Wings, and so I really want to shout out to Mika and all the gang down at Wings. They really take care of me, and we go down there and hang out, and she makes sure that we put some of our stickers and stuff up, and then make sure that anybody who walks in the door and mentions podcasts, she called me out right there. You need to go. so we really appreciate them, and then really let them putting some stuff up for us in town and supporting us there in town. We don't get a whole lot of support around town besides people who listen now. We do have a lot of people who listen. I don't really ever seen a sticker or anything anywhere, but there.
Yeah.
Unless I put them there. And I might have put them there too.
You might have.
But Mika, she grabbed mine in my hand and put them up. She put one behind the bar, so there's one on the drink menu special, right behind the bar. So
Let me take some of them big stickers we got and give them to them and let them put them up.
yeah, that's a good
Them
idea.
big bumper stickers.
Right, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And one more thing, I'd like to really shout out to everyone and anyone who has donated to the GoFundMe over with Mason Adams and his wife Jen. Trying to help them folks out. I know. I looked through the thing today, and there's several of you guys really have stepped up and helped out, and it's so appreciated. And hopefully we can get them there. It's running up pretty quick, so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for helping out.
And we'll refresh the link on our social medias so everybody can go on there and help them guys out.
All right, and as always, fuck cancer.
That's right.
Yes.
Anything else you got before we get going, dude?
No, nothing unless we're going to say same old, because we hadn't said it today.
No, we hadn't done the same old
It's been
yet.
some nice weather lately, and more my weather and less yours.
Yeah, same old. Actually, it's pretty good today.
Well, except this morning, it was damn cold.
Oh, it was dagging in the 30s, man. It was great.
30s and 80s.
We're
bouncing off the
You
end.
wear a coat in the morning, you carry it home in the afternoon.
Ain't that the truth?
Yep.
All right, man. So where we going, to Square City?
We are...
Triangle Town?
Triangle Town. No, we're going to Circleville.
Circleville.
Yeah, Circleville, Ohio.
All righty then. Pretty cool name, I guess.
Yeah, but...
Around town.
Yeah, if you hang around town, yeah. But just a little bit of background on Circleville. It is the county seat in Pickaway County, Ohio.
Pick away.
Yeah, and it's about 25 miles or 40 kilometers south of Columbus, which is the capital of Ohio. And Circleville has a population of around 14,000 people. And the city is best known for them hosting the Circleville Pumpkin Show.
Dude, that's crazy. They say that thing draws up to like 300,000 people
Ain't that crazy?
in a town of 14.
Yeah.
That's a
There's
lot of
people
people.
coming in and out of town.
Yeah.
But this is an annual festival that's been held since 1903.
I guess they built it up well.
Yeah, then they have a water tower there in town shaped like a pumpkin.
No.
Yeah, they do.
I wonder how many, besides, Gaffney, right down the road from us, has got one that's a peach.
Yeah.
And there's a pumpkin. I wonder if somebody have an apple.
I'm sure
Probably
they do.
like Washington State or something.
Probably. I'm sure they are.
Yeah, if anybody, you guys know that, shoot us a picture.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wonder if they jack-o'-lantern it up at Halloween. Some dude go up there and to put a sticker on it or something.
Oh, yeah, they got to.
God, that'd be badass.
That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I want to go now. Go do a live show at Circleville.
We need to. But we're talking about Circleville back in the 1970s.
Okay.
When we're starting our little story here today.
1976.
And this is actually the summer of 1976.
Already.
Yeah, bicentennial year.
I remember that.
I do too.
Bicentennial everything.
Yep. But this is the summer of 1976, and our tale today starts with a lady by the name of Mary Gillespie.
In the heat of the night.
Hmm?
She on the heat of the night?
No.
Oh, different Gillespie.
Yeah, this is Mary Gillespie, and this is when she receives a postmarked letter in the mail from Columbus, Ohio.
Right.
Now, this letter had no signature and no return address, Dale.
Mm.
And when she opened this letter...
It's one of them chain letters, ain't it?
Well, no, it's not. It had the writing on it was all capital letters. It was printed in block letters. And the letters were sort of slanted to the right. Everything was, just big square block letters. And this letter stated that Mary was having an affair with the Westfall school superintendent. His name was Gordon Massey.
Well, now.
Yep. And it just so happened, Mary, she was a school bus driver for the school system there in Circleville.
So, it's pretty, it could be.
Yeah. But this letter, it said, I know where you live. I've been observing your house and know you have children. This is no joke. Please take it serious. She just sort of put the letter away. Maybe they'll just quit and it's just some kind of joke or something.
Yeah, like a prank or something.
Yeah. So she didn't think much about it. And there's a week or so later, she got another letter in the mail.
Right.
From Columbus, Ohio. And pretty much along the same lines, telling her they know what she's doing. She's having an affair with the superintendent.
Yeah, I'm giving you so much time you need to quit and all that stuff.
It hadn't stopped.
I'm going to do something about it or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to wreak havoc on your life,
right.
Pretty much, yeah. And she put this letter away.
Yeah.
Didn't think much about it. And it wasn't long after that. This is when her husband, his name was Ron Gillespie, he got a letter in the mail.
Right. So I guess she was putting him away. I mean, she didn't want to go tell him because, if the stuff ain't true, he's just going to be pissed off because he ain't going to believe it ain't true.
It's just going
so it's just going to cause a whole lot of trouble.
Exactly.
So she was just stashing them back and hoping it would just quit coming.
Just go away, yeah.
Right.
But this one, Ron, he got a letter in the mail. And this letter was in the same style writing, block letters, all caps. And it was demanding that he go to the school board with the information about Mary having an affair with the superintendent.
Yeah. Even though she kept saying it was false.
Yeah,
it's not happening. It's not true.
She was very adamant that it was not true.
Right.
But they decided to remain silent on this and just hope that the letter writer would stop.
Yeah, and these letters he got, it was a little bit different. I mean, I'm not sure with the first one, or he got maybe a couple at the same time. I don't know, but one of them had even said, "You should, they're having an affair. You should catch them together and kill them both."
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa.
That's getting serious.
Yeah, fast. That went from, I'm going to tell on you, to you need to go kill them both.
Yeah, you need to do this.
Yeah.
And also the letters were stating that if Mary didn't end this affair, that all this information would be broadcast on CB radios and billboard ads.
Yeah, so I guess that's like putting it on Facebook nowadays.
Yeah, CB radios, yeah.
We put up signs and billboards and tell everybody on the CB.
Exactly.
Get it around town.
I guess they were getting kind of frantic about this, and this was at this point, the Gillespies, they decided to let some of their family members know what was happening.
Right.
And this is when they told Ron's sister, her name was Karen.
Imagine that.
And her husband, Paul. Their last name was Frischauer.
Frischauer.
Paul and Karen Frischauer. Now, Paul, he was an employee at the local Anheuser-Busch plant, and Paul also worked as a prison guard. And just a little bit more background on Paul, he had survived a 30-hour ordeal at the prison.
Yeah, he'd been taken hostage back in '68 of the Ohio State penitentiary riots.
Yeah, they took over. The inmates took over.
Yeah.
So he was held hostage.
So that'd be scary as hell.
It would be scary.
Yeah. He got a good job now, though, or then. He was a quality control taster at Anheuser-Busch plant.
Wouldn't that be great?
Heck yeah.
That's all right, boss. I'll work over today.
Let me check this one.
Yeah.
Oh, one more time.
Yeah. Just ain't quite right. Yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better.
At the end of the day, that shit's good.
Yeah, it is. When the Fresh Hours got together with the Gillespies, they only had one suspect in mind.
Yeah, I think it was, who would you say it was? It was him and her, not Gillespie, but Paul and Karen, and then both Gillespies, and then maybe another lady?
Paul's sister.
Paul's sister, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all got together.
There was five of them got together.
Kind of brainstorming about this.
They didn't, trying to figure out what to do, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think Mary said, well, the only person she thought it might could be was this guy named Longberry, right?
David Longberry.
And he'd been sweet on Mary at school. He was a bus driver as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was sweet on her and asked her out one time, and then she's like, look, I got kids and I'm married. I appreciate it, but, thanks but no thanks.
Sort of made a pass at her.
Yeah. And he probably got his feelings hurt, and so maybe she was thinking, well, he's been acting kind of funny, like he got his feelings hurt when I turned him down. Maybe he's just trying to, poke the stick.
Yeah.
So maybe he's the one trying to be funny here.
Yep. So they all agreed that Paul would write a letter to David Longberry.
Yeah.
And he was going to demonstrate that the Gillespies knew what he was doing, and he was going to have to stop sending these letters.
Yeah, it's like, look, bud, we know it's you. Knock it off.
Yeah, stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
And for a little while, this seemed to have worked.
Yeah.
The letters stopped coming.
Yeah, but then it got worse.
Yeah.
He trumped them.
There were some signs that started appearing around town.
Letters slowed down, and then signs started popping up for everybody to see.
Yeah, everybody in town to see.
Yeah, you don't want my letters? Let's see this.
But to their dismay, Mary and Ron Gillespie, they began seeing these signs posted around town.
Yeah.
And they made claims that Gordon Massey, the superintendent, was romantically involved with the Gillespies' 12-year-old daughter, Tracy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was so bad that Ron would actually get up super early in the morning before going to work, drive around and tear down these signs.
So Tracy couldn't see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before she went to school.
I mean, I would do the same thing.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, that's just crazy shit, man.
So it's getting a little deep here.
And this harassment, it continued to weigh on Ron, man. I mean, I can't imagine what he was going through.
Yeah, I'm telling you. He's probably getting up extra early, can't sleep good, is worried about this, and then he's getting those letters, and now he's got to worry about his wife cheating on him and worry about somebody doing something to his kid. Yeah,
knowing where he lives, and
yeah,
signs being put up around town, not what everybody's talking about.
What's happening next? He's got to be frayed out,
Yeah.
Nerve shot.
All right, just moving a little bit ahead, Dale, to August of 1977. Mary and Karen, that's Ron's sister, they decided to get out of town for a little while.
Yeah, I think they headed down to Florida for a while.
Yes, they wanted to get out of town and see something different and just get away for a while.
Yeah, now remember, this is like a year, a little over a year than when the first letters came, so it's not like they just got a letter and said, hell with it, I'm going to Florida. So this has been going on for quite some time now.
Yeah. So on August the 19th of 1977, Mary was out of town and Ron was there at home with his girls.
Yep.
And this evening, Ron received a phone call at the home, and the caller said that he was observing the Gillespies' home and that he knew what Ron's truck looked like. And Ron was pretty pissed off.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he said a lot of stuff.
And he told his girls that he thought he recognized the caller's voice.
Mm-hmm.
And this kissed one of his daughters goodbye, and he raced out of the house.
Well, he grabbed his gun.
He did grab his gun.
Yeah, I'm sure this dude probably said a little more than what's ever been reported, because nobody really knows except for the guy and Ron. So, yeah, he got him fired up pretty tough.
Yeah, and he had intentions on confronting this person.
So he's going to take care of this and stop it in his tracks.
Yeah. And just a few minutes later, Ron hadn't gotten far down the road, and this is where he wrecked his truck.
Yep.
And it was wrecked just right near a intersection.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron goes through this area all the time.
Yes.
So it makes people wonder why he had a wreck there.
So nobody actually seen the wreck. They just come by later and seen him and found him. He was dead on site.
Mm-hmm.
He had information he was partially ejected or ejected from his truck and was killed there.
And I've listed some things and read some things too. His truck was probably old and probably didn't have a seatbelt.
Well, if he did, he probably wasn't wearing it. In the 70s, nobody wore a seatbelt.
No, he wasn't. It wasn't a law then.
Right.
Yeah. But they did find that Ron had been drinking, and his blood alcohol content was 0.16.
Well, that was the autopsy report, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was twice the legal limit.
Yeah.
For blood alcohol. So the sheriff there, his name was Radcliffe.
Now, a lot of people didn't believe this because they said that Ron didn't drink that much.
No.
And there's no way he was that hammered and then jumped in the car and took off.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And I've heard some things too, with all this weighing on him and all this stuff going on, maybe he was drinking a little bit.
He might have been.
I can't imagine what he was going through.
No. And then when that dude called him, it really pissed him off in.
Yeah, I bet.
So
he had a little bit of liquid courage in him.
Mm-hmm. Went flying down the road. It could have happened. Now, somebody could have run him off the road. You never know. I mean, what happened really if they just found him there. So I don't think they really know now.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, they don't really know. But police
only know is he's dead.
Yeah, police didn't seem convinced anyone else was to blame for this.
No, they thought he just got drunk and run into a tree.
Yeah.
Now, how far was this? This is like, what'd you say, 9 miles from their house?
I've heard different things, 9 miles from the house, and then I heard it was just right down the road.
Right, that's what I kept hearing. Everything it was like he turned out of his driveway and crashed.
Yeah,
the way some stuff told it.
There's a lot of details to this story, and
there's a lot of conflict.
Where you read, it just depends on.
Yeah, so we're telling our version.
Yeah, but we're trying to cover both of them. It was either right down the road or 9 miles down the road.
Yes.
And they also found a gun in the truck, Dale, and it was up under his body.
Right, yeah, I forgot about it.
And the gun had one shell that had been fired in it.
Yes.
And one spent shell.
Yes.
And they couldn't determine if the gun had been fired that night or 6 months earlier. It was just a spent shell inside the gun.
Right, and this is another big topic of interest, because I've heard revolver, I've heard automatic, I've heard one was shot, I heard they smelled it and said it shot just a couple hours ago, but we talked about this, and pretty much it almost have to be a revolver for them to know one's missing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you don't know how many bullets is in anybody's automatic pistol. You just put however many you want in the clip, and that's what you got.
Exactly.
So if one's missing, fine. Now, I'm sure they wasn't doing really a lot of intense ballistics or gunshot residue stuff at this point in 1970 something. They probably looked at it, smelled the barrel, said, "Yeah, it shot it." But like we talking, he could have shot it a month ago.
Yeah.
Whatever. Could have been, right before he wrecked. Also, but it's kind of hard to tell.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't really put a lot of
weight into that one shell.
Yeah.
Shell casing.
Now, if you found somebody that had a bullet in them later or something, that'd be different. But I don't know. As of right now, I'm just going, you don't really know. I mean, hell, he might have been shooting somebody and run off the road. You never know, but I don't know about that.
So,
especially if it was found underneath him.
Yeah, but Ron's dead. His wife's in Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, and his young girls are at home.
Right.
Yep. Now, soon there were more letters that began arriving, and this time they were to other residents in and around Circleville. And this presented the idea that Sheriff Radcliffe was engaged in some kind of cover-up regarding Ron's death, and that Mary and Gordon Massey, the school superintendent, were responsible for killing him. Yeah. But now, Ron's death wasn't the only change in Mary's life. Paul and Karen Freshour, they were divorcing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It had been discovered that Karen had been having an affair on Paul. So,
that'll do it.
Yeah. So they were divorcing.
Yeah.
And Mary was to move out, and Paul, during all this, he was getting everything. He was getting their property, custody of the kids, everything. So Karen was just out.
She was getting her boyfriend, and that was it.
She was getting a trailer on Ron and Mary's property.
Right.
That was all
she was going to live there and then have her boyfriend with her, I guess.
Yep.
Her run around.
Now, it was at some point after Ron's death, his truck accident.
Yeah.
Mary admitted that she was actually having an affair with Gordon Massey.
She had an affair.
Yeah, she had an affair with Gordon Massey. But it had started after the letters began arriving, not before.
Do we believe this at all?
Not at all.
Is anybody on the planet believe?
No.
Okay, well, listen, we really was, but trust me, it was all before them letters.
Yeah.
I guess it's what does it give you a really good idea of something to do.
Now, this is pretty strange, but it wasn't quite as strange as what happened along her bus route on February the 7th of 1983.
Now, how many years later is this now?
This is quite a few years later, because
Right.
Ron was killed in 77, so we're jumping to 1983.
So we're jumping 5-6 years.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is when Mary was on her bus route.
So I guess these letters are coming the whole time?
Letters
they never stop, right?
Their letters are going out the whole time.
Man, somebody's spending a shit ton of stamp money.
To townspeople, residents, constantly.
Right.
I mean, at one point, we'll just go ahead and say that there were over 1,000 letters sent.
Wow.
Over a period, almost 20 years.
So somebody was doing some serious gossiping.
Yes.
Was in everybody's business and telling everything they knew. So it had to be somebody was in touch or knew a lot of stuff.
Yep. But on Mary's bus route on February the 7th of 1983, this is when she saw a sign on the side of the road. She was on her bus alone. She had dropped all her kids off.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked at this sign and she stopped her bus.
Well, it said it was something really derogatory about her kids.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what it is because I have not seen the sign.
No, I don't think anybody's seen the sign.
I saw the one on Unsolved Mysteries, but I hadn't seen this one.
Yes.
But anyway, I think they should already passed a couple probably, and I think this one just was enough and just kind of blew the top on it.
But she stopped the bus and got out, was going to grab the sign.
Yeah, and there was no kids on the bus at this time.
And when she grabbed the sign, it was attached to a box, the way it looked. I mean, it's been described.
Right.
And she grabbed the sign and grabbed the box and everything attached with it and put it on the bus with her.
Yeah, now like on the reenactment, it was hooked to a fence kind of with a bunch of weeds over it. Now, I don't know if that's really how it was or not. Because
Yeah.
it'd be kind of odd to see how it really was. Of course, there's probably no pictures of the way it was set up, being she tore it down and took it with her.
But we're going to try to describe this as best as we can. But it was a sign attached to a box and had some strings and different things hooked to it.
Right.
So she grabbed all this and put it on the bus with her and took it home.
Yeah, and one thing told me that it was like they said that the reason she did it, she said maybe it was some kind of, they could get prints or something off it, whatever it is. Or
Yeah.
could find some evidence in this thing. So she just tear the whole thing down and took it all with her.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. So she took the box home and opened it up. And what she found inside was a gun.
Yeah.
And it was stuffed between some styrofoam and had a string wrapped around the trigger.
Right.
Like a booby trap that was going to be fired.
Like a booby trap. So if you would just, I think it was supposed to work as if you pulled the sign off, it shot you in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was like chest, head high, I guess, depending on how tall you were or whatever. But that was the way it was meant to be.
So Mary took the gun and the box and everything to the police.
Yes.
And they got to looking at this and determined that it was a booby trap. But they got to looking at the gun, and the serial numbers had been filed off.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. They sent this gun off to be examined.
Yeah.
And when they got it back, they found out that
they were able to raise the numbers.
They were able to get them off of there. Yeah, they didn't do too good of a job scratching them off.
Correct.
But when they got the gun back, they found that the gun belonged to an employee at the Anheuser-Busch company.
Right. So they went and took a chat with him.
Yes. And he told the authorities that he had sold that gun to
Drum roll.
Paul Freshour.
Paul Freshour.
Yeah. This was their brother-in-law.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, this gets so crazy.
Yeah.
Now, throughout this investigation, they went to Paul, and he was just adamant. That was my gun, but he'd lost it.
Yeah, he said he had kept it in the basement, but hadn't been there from well, he said a long time. I don't want to say months, but he said a long time.
Yeah, and he just couldn't find it anymore.
Right.
He didn't know what happened to it.
It was crazy.
Yeah, and they brought him in for questioning and trying to figure out what was going on. He maintained that yeah, that's my gun, but I don't know what happened to it.
Right.
So they ended up arresting Paul.
Yes.
But he was released on a $50,000 bond. But he was after his bond release, he voluntarily checked himself into a mental health center. This was at Riverside Hospital, and he wanted to be examined, possibly to help with a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. but that plea was later dropped.
Yeah, I guess he was so, damn, am I crazy? Did I really do this?
Yeah. And like we said, this co-worker of his at Anheuser-Busch, his name was Wesley Wells, and he testified that Paul Freshour had purchased that gun from him for $35.
Dang.
Yeah.
Bargain.
Now, Paul's personnel records from Anheuser-Busch showed that he had taken off work on February the 7th, the day that Mary found the booby trap.
Right.
Yep.
On his defense, he did say he was having some work done on his house.
Yeah.
And he said that
they were workers out there.
There were workers there, and he had to be home. And then there were actually witnesses that said he was there, gave him an alibi.
Saw him around, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, I guess we'll see.
Exactly. But they had Paul back in there, and they were trying to figure out what was going on. And they set him down to try to get a sample of his handwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is so crazy, Dale. They actually showed him the letters and gave him a blank piece of paper and a pencil and said, here, write like this.
Like, that's how you do handwriting samples, right? You give them the actual letter and say, try to copy this, letter for letter.
Yeah.
See if you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's exactly not how you do it.
No, not at all.
Crazy.
Mm-mm. But he was, tried to do the best he could. And he was writing like the letters, the block style letters.
Yeah, because he said, well, I know I didn't do it, so I'll just do whatever and it's going to exonerate me and get me out of here. And whatever he wants me to do, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm. But Paul Freshour, he was indicted by a grand jury in March of 1983 and set for trial in October of 83. And his trial lasted for 4 days. But the jury needed just 2.5 hours to return a guilty verdict.
Ain't that something?
Yep. On the charge of attempted murder using a firearm that was either in Freshour's possession or under his control. He was not formally charged with writing any of the letters, but get this, 39 of the letters were admitted into evidence.
Yeah, so that don't even make any sense.
Yeah.
So really they didn't have anything on him.
No.
I mean, it was his gun, and he had admitted it was his gun.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, besides you, and you didn't go to work that day.
Yeah, they don't have any proof that he put that
Nothing.
booby trap there or anything.
Yeah, they even went and searched, everything in his garage and everything, and he showed them where the gun usually was. It was either, I think, 3 different places, and then, but there was no evidence that, of anything where the booby trap or anything was made or nothing like that in his basement.
Yeah, they couldn't tell where it come from.
The box that was used was a box that could have come from his work because it was a box that contained a large amount of chalk.
Okay.
So that was used there. So those boxes were at work, and I don't know if it's like chalk or it was sticks of chalk, like maybe they marked the kegs with or something. I don't know. That's what I've got in my head. But anyway, there was a box that that could have come from him, but that was about all they had.
Yeah.
And nothing about the damn letters. They didn't even accuse him of doing the damn letters. And then made him write all that and then put some into evidence.
Yeah, 39 letters. But Paul had considered taking the stand, and they told him if he took the stand, they were going to admit all 1,000 letters into evidence.
Why could you do that? It doesn't even make no sense.
It has nothing to do with anything.
Nothing at all.
Mm-mm. But yeah, the jury saw this as, I guess, Paul had been somebody with some troubles.
Yeah.
And that was why he was sentenced.
But it's crazy. I mean, I don't know. I just don't get it.
I don't either. But Judge William Ammer sentenced Paul to 7 to 25 years.
Good Lord.
And an additional 3 years for controlling a firearm during the offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was completely absurd, dude.
What a crazy.
But now, this Circleville mystery, it didn't stop, dude.
Nope.
Even though Paul Freshour was in prison, sometimes he even went to solitary confinement because they were letters that continued to be sent out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And him being in solitary confinement, they controlled everything that come into the prison to him and went out from him. And letters were still going out.
Yes.
And the warden was adamant that he said, Paul Freshour is not sending any letters from my prison. But people were still getting letters.
Yeah, so he's telling me they was doing everything. They was strip searching this dude, putting him in solitaire, and checking anything that came in and going out and make sure he didn't have a letter hidden inside of another letter. And then wouldn't even let him have a pencil and paper.
Yeah, nothing.
I mean, they would just limit everything, and letters were still flying around town.
I know.
Actually, they picked up speed, I think.
Yep, and even Paul got a letter in prison.
Yeah, because he came up for parole, and I think it was after 7 years. And he went in, and they turned him down because they said, "Well, you just don't seem to show no remorse over this." And he's like, "Hell, I didn't do it," So
Yeah.
So anyway, so right after that, he got a letter saying, "Don't you listen at all? Now, when are you going to believe you're not getting out of there? We told you 2 years ago. When we set them up, they stay up. Don't you listen at all?
Man.
Come on."
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, he's even getting a letter to himself. So
Yeah. So Paul, I mean, he was just set up, dude.
I think so.
Oh yeah, totally. But Paul was eventually paroled in 1994 and continued to insist that he had nothing to do with the letters. And if he was guilty, his motivations for writing them remain, sort of puzzling.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell did he care? If Ron and Mary, if she was running around with him, why would he just go tell him instead of writing a crazy cryptic letter?
Yeah. Now, one theory, people were saying that Paul was feeling some loyalty to his wife, Karen, whose brother was Ron, may have known about Mary's affair. And one Mary denied took place until after Ron's death, like we talked about.
Yeah.
And wanted to help both of them, put it to an end.
Well, I could see that, I guess, if he didn't want to say who you are, but you knew about it instead of going to him. But I'll just go straight to him and go, "Look, dude, this is what's going on."
Yeah. But like I said, Paul and Karen, they ended up getting a divorce, and it was over Paul supposedly being violent and abusive towards Karen.
Whatever.
Yeah. Now, Dale, there was one lead that the police were criticized for not following up on.
Mm-hmm.
And this was never admitted into evidence or anything.
This is bullshit right here.
Yeah. Now, according to another bus driver, this was the same day that Mary discovered the booby trap, that had the gun in it.
Right.
This bus driver claimed that they saw a yellow El Camino that was parked at the intersection, and a man who looked nothing like Paul Freshauer.
Right. Said the man was a large guy, pretty big guy with sandy blonde hair.
Yeah.
And Paul's a smaller guy with really dark hair.
Yeah. And it said the guy sort of turned, but it looked like he was trying to go to the bathroom outside this El Camino.
Yeah, he turned his back so you couldn't see who he was. But, whatever.
But this man was never identified.
No, but do you know what Karen's boyfriend looks like?
Just like the description of the man with El Camino.
Yeah, he's kind of a big guy with sandy blonde hair.
Yeah.
And depending on where you read, and Karen, either her brother or one of her family members, guess what they drive?
El Camino.
A yellow one.
Yeah.
So, but this was never even brought up in a trial at all.
Never.
So, I mean, is his lawyer that stupid, or did he not know about it?
I don't know.
Because, I don't know. This seemed to be just as much information as they had on him.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, he ain't got nothing on him. Except for he was a gun.
Exactly.
As far as that goes, hell, she could have stole his gun and done it her damn self.
I know, dude.
She was pretty pissed off about this divorce. Karen, I'm talking about, because if he's getting custody of the kids and everything else, maybe she's trying to sitting over in that trailer bowling, trying to figure out how to get rid of him. Yeah,
there was an investigator. His name was Martin Yant, and Dale, he believed that there were several Circleville Letter Writers.
Look like a copycat or something.
Could have been. Yeah, and it could have been the David Longberry in the beginning.
Yeah,
it started out, and then other people just picked up on it,
using it as well, hell, this is a good way I can do what I want to do.
Yeah,
I'll just keep on. But it'd be hard. I don't know, that writing style was weird, dude.
And here's another thing too.
It's kind of like the Zodiac writing in a way. It's real cryptic looking.
This was one thing that got me. 12 of the letters had Paul's fingerprints on them.
Right, yeah, and we talked about this earlier too. It's like, okay, there's thousands of letters. Is he that stupid for 12?
Yeah.
But like we talked, if you're looking at it at the point where we think, because I don't know about you, but I'm kind of thinking his wife is in on this.
Karen.
Karen, yeah. It would be really easy to get your husband's fingerprints on something.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
Especially if you got stuff laying around the house, paper and
he'll
stuff.
just lay it on the table. He's going to pick it up and move it eventually,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But his fingerprints were on 12 of them.
Yes.
Now, Unsolved Mysteries did a segment on this back in the Robert Stack days.
It was a good one, too.
It was daggum good. And they received a Circleville letter. The Unsolved Mysteries did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. And this letter read, actually it was more like a postcard. And it read, "Forget Circleville, Ohio. Do nothing to hurt Sheriff Radcliffe. If you come to Ohio, you El Sickos will pay. The Circleville Writer.
El Sickos.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's scary, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, Robert Stack was talking about that. I think it's the first time they've ever been involved in one of the things they're doing.
I know.
Pretty wild.
But they did have Paul on the show.
Yeah.
And he maintained his innocence the whole time.
Right.
And he started a website with all this information and stuff, trying to clear his name and trying to bring some light to the Circleville Letter Writer.
Yeah, in the early 90s, that was a pretty big deal.
Yes, it was.
Starting up a website.
Yes, it was. Now, here's another crazy thing about all this, Dale. There was a guy by the name of Dr. Ray Carroll. This doctor performed Ron Gillespie's autopsy. This was Mary's husband, the one that was killed in the wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dr. Ray Carroll, he was outed by the Circleville Letter Writer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, in one of the letters as a pedophile.
Yep.
Yeah. And in 1993, he was officially charged with 12 counts of gross immorality, sex crimes, corruption of a minor, pornography, obscenity, and indecent exposure.
So it was true.
Yes.
So, yeah, we talked about this a little bit, so I'm thinking, man, if this dude was that damn crooked, he could have faked the whole damn autopsy with the drinking and all.
He could have. Yeah.
Especially if sheriff was in on it.
Could have.
Which, Paul was a big advocate of saying that, he was in on it. And then the writer was also thinking he was in on it. Or at least saying it wasn't true. It was an accident. Not necessarily they done it.
I know, it's crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
But now, Paul, getting back to him, he served 10 years in prison for Mary Gillespie's attempted murder. And he ended up dying in 2012, maintaining his innocence, and that he'd been falsely imprisoned. Now, there's some theories on this, Dale, and one is Mary Gillespie herself. And it almost seems like Mary has to be in on it somehow or another.
You think?
Yeah. Because how did she know to stop her bus and pull down that one sign that had been booby-trapped?
Yeah, why you think she knew the booby trap wasn't going to work? Booby trap.
Yeah.
I said a lot of booby traps, and I ain't never caught a booby.
And it was later revealed that Mary was having an affair with Gordon Massley, like we said, and then her husband was killed, which may or may not have happened. But
you think maybe that was going on, and then they stopped, and then it started back, or it was just going on the whole time?
Could have.
So why would she tell on herself?
I don't know.
Do you think it just so maybe it'd piss him off and he'd leave?
I don't know. And then there's rumor that this Gordon Massey, the superintendent, was the writer, because he was known to be a flirt.
Oh, yeah. He's a womanizer.
Yeah, it'd been rumored that he was having an affair with several of the female bus drivers there in the county.
He liked to, must have been something about the yellow thing.
Must have been. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But now, this David Longberry, this is the one they wrote the letter to.
Yes.
That, they thought he was the original letter writer. He
had the hots for Mary. That's the one.
Yeah, he got in some trouble.
He did.
In 1999, he raped an 11-year-old girl.
Yeah, he was living with two elderly people who had 11-year-old. I think was it their granddaughter that lived with him?
Yeah, it was an 11-year-old girl.
So he was staying there, and then he ended up raping her in the living room. And
right there in front of him.
Yeah. And Grandpa runs his ass out there.
Yeah, and he takes off running and don't come back.
Right, and they never seen him again. He didn't even take nothing with him. He just ran out the door.
Yeah, and he was on the run for a long time.
Yes.
And it had been reported that he was never found, and there was one other
some
site.
people say he was never found. It ain't been found to this day.
And then there was another site saying that he died by suicide down in Texas.
Yeah, it said that a truck driver reported giving him a ride, and then this guy went out behind the truck stop or the gas station or whatever it was into a tree and hung himself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he had a rope in his pocket or if there was one in the tree or what. But they had said he had killed himself, and I guess that's a good reason he never came back.
Yeah. This Karen Freshour, this is Paul's wife.
Yes.
Ron Gillespie's sister. Karen and Paul didn't have a great marriage, and they ended up getting divorced. I'm almost leaning toward Karen being the letter writer, because they had a kid of theirs that actually found some letters in the home, and one of them was in the toilet. Didn't get flushed or something.
Yeah, she told that to the police that she had found one that was torn up and thrown in the toilet.
Yeah.
But the only thing she could make up was Gillespie.
Yeah,
put the pieces together.
The one word Gillespie on the letter, yeah.
Yeah. And then found some other ones, and then that's when the sheriff was like, oh, great. But this is all before Paul went to prison. Said, oh, great, can you bring him in? And then keep him.
Yeah.
Okay. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm leaning toward Karen.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I don't think she may not have been the original letter writer.
Yeah, if she wasn't, she got a good idea from it.
Unless she started all this to cover her affair about marrying the superintendent having an affair.
Yeah.
So she sort of redirected the spotlight from her to them.
Yeah, but it didn't work, did it?
No. But Paul ended up, he got out of prison, and he had a son that took this pretty hard.
Yes. Wesley, I think, was his name.
Yeah, he ended up committing suicide from all this.
Yeah. Well, and his mama said that, he had suffered from depression and from anxiety and a bunch of other stuff as well. But, a lot of, and then some people said that maybe thought it might have been guilt from him being a letter writer. So nobody knows. They're just saying everybody's a damn letter writer.
Yeah.
And everybody could have been, I guess, but I don't know. It would be hard to make all the letters look the same to me.
Yeah. But some of the letters look different. The writing on them. Some of them, most of them are in all caps, block letters, and some of them are in small.
Yeah, so
letters.
At certain points they were a little bit different. Yeah, so that definitely could have been somebody different, unless you just get tired of writing like that.
Yeah, could have been. But Paul, like I said, Paul died in 2012. But after his death, the letters stopped.
They sure did.
Mm-hmm. For almost 20 years, letters.
Yeah, I think 18 years run. I think.
Yeah,
what it was. Yeah.
Crazy story, man. Now, just a little bit more, Dale. In 2021, just a couple of years ago, the CBS program 48 Hours, they asked former FBI profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole. Yeah, she's a forensic document expert. They asked her to examine these letters, and she said she didn't think Paul Freshour was the culprit based on the impression she got of a controlling, vindictive letter writer.
Right.
The traits that Freshour relatives insist don't fit him at all. But they said one of them characteristics pointed to the letter G.
Yeah, Beverly East pointed this out.
Yeah. Which resembled the number 6. You know how you make a G, it sort of looks like a number 6.
Sure.
And in many of the Circleville letters, as well as Paul Freshour's own handwriting.
So she thinks he is? One does and one don't?
Yeah. And a telling, perhaps incriminating detail. And East believes Paul Freshour wrote the letters. The show also identified Paul's fingerprints on some of the letters, like we said, that were sent while he was in prison. Yeah. That's why I'm thinking
I don't know,
that this paper was at their house.
Right. Already. Been
yeah.
Fingerprinted. Yeah.
So, but as far as the police were concerned, the case remains closed.
No, and it's still damn confusing, but it is a pretty wild story.
Yeah, it is.
Good thing the gun didn't go off, I guess.
Yeah.
It'd be rough.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if it was just built bad, or if it was made actually where it wouldn't go off.
I don't know. I think
that's what I'm thinking.
I think it was just crudely made to look like a booby trap, and just
otherwise she wouldn't have torn it down.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is the Circleville letters, man.
Pretty wild story.
It is. Very crazy story.
And you still don't know nothing. So it's a crazy story.
Yeah, crazy story. But if anybody has any thoughts about this, let us know. We'd like to know what y'all think.
Yeah, dive into it and figure it out.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
There's a ton of podcasts on this. A lot of people have covered it. Like I said, it's on Unsolved Mysteries.
48 Hours.
Yeah, there's some documentaries on it.
Yeah, the Unsolved Mysteries is pretty good. I thought they did a good job on it.
Yeah.
It was like a long, extended version, so it was good.
There's a YouTuber that I watched, Lamont at Large. He did a locations video on this and went around town showing some locations. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Did he show where the sign was? Or
yeah, he shows some places like that.
Cool.
Yeah, and he visits Ron Gillespie's grave and paid his respects there. So it's a pretty cool video. We're going to get out of here, bud.
All right, man. Let's roll.
We want everyone to be safe. Please be careful and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is the Crack House Chronicles.